In the last couple of lectures, I have discussed the general procedure of how to derive the distribution of a function of a given random variable. Okay, so in this lecture, I am going to discuss the discuss a general formula for a derived distribution. Okay, so it turns out that there is a special case or a special structure in which we can get directly uh, from densities to densities using directly just a formula. Okay, so for example, x is a random variable. X is a random variable and its density is given by fx of x, and from this directly I can get the random variable density of the random variable y, that is going to be fy of y. So instead of going through this two-step procedure, that is cookbook procedure, so that we don't want to do, directly we can get it. Okay, and in that case we don't have to go through the cumulative distribution function. See, in the last class I said two-step procedure. Okay, that is first find the cumulative and then take derivative. Okay, so therefore now instead of going through this two-step procedure, I can directly get the density of random variable y from the density of the random variable x. So, and this case is also this case is also interesting because it gives us some insight about how one density change to a different density and what affects the shape of those densities. Okay, that we'll see now. So the case where things are easy is when the transformation from one random variable to the other is strictly monotonic. Okay, so g is strictly monotonic. The two random variables are related by y equal to g of x, where g is a function and that function is strictly monotonic. When I say monotonic, then there is a one-to-one relation between x's and y's. One-to-one relation between the random variables x and y's. Okay, that's what it means, strictly monotonic. So here we can reason directly in terms of densities by taking in terms of probabilities of small intervals. Okay, so let me draw a simple picture. This is x and this one is y. I have a function like this and this function is g of x. Okay, so let's look at the small interval. Let me call this point is x and let me take another interval. This is x plus delta. Okay, so where the capital X ranges from a small x to a small x plus delta. So this interval is a small interval of length delta. Length is equal to x plus delta minus x, which is equal to delta. Now whenever x happens to fall in this interval, in the x interval, capital X happens to fall in this interval, the random variable y is going to fall in a corresponding interval. What is the corresponding interval? Let me change the color. So this is the corresponding interval, y interval. So here in the y interval we have the length and that length we need to find out. And these two intervals, let me call this is blue interval. And may change the color. And this one let me call the red interval. Okay, so what is the blue interval in this case? The blue interval is x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to x plus delta. What is the red interval? Red interval is, it is g of x less than or equal to capital Y less than or equal to g of x plus delta. Why is g of x? Because this point is x, this point is x, therefore this point is g of x in the y axis, and this point is x plus delta, so therefore this point is, it's a function, so this is g of x plus delta. Therefore that interval is that interval points are g of x and g of x plus delta. What is the length of the interval in red interval length? Red interval length equal to g of x plus delta minus g of x. Now these two intervals should have the same probability. They are exactly the same event. Okay, therefore we can write event x less than or equal to capital X less than or equal to x plus delta is the same as g of x less than or equal to y less than or equal to g of x plus delta. Okay, so therefore the probabilities should be same in that case. When x falls in the blue interval, g of x happens to fall in the red interval. So we can say that the probability of this little blue interval is the same as the probability that probability that falls in the red little interval. And we know that probabilities of little intervals have something to do with the densities. So whenever you have a small interval, then you can find out the probabilities of those little interval with the help of the density function that we already defined. What we mean by density. Density is nothing but the probability over the little interval. So what is the probability of this blue little interval? It is the density of the random variable x at that point. What is the point? X plus delta, x2 x plus delta times the length of the interval. Therefore the blue interval probability equal to I am using blue because I shaded with the blue color. Okay, so blue interval probability is going to be the length of the interval. The length of the interval is delta, and the probability density function is fx of x. Okay, now how about the probability of the red interval? Okay, that we need to find out. It is going to be the density of the random variable y times the length of the red interval. So what is the density of the y axis? It is fy of y. Density of the random variable y is fy of y times the length is we don't know what is the length. Let me put length here. Okay, simply length, because this length is going to be g of x plus delta minus g of x. Anyway, this will not help us, so we need to find the general formula. So let us derive what that would be. So I have like this function. Let me call this point is x1 and this point is x2. The corresponding points are y1 and this is y2, and this difference is x2 minus x1 equal to delta. And now we need to find out what is y2 minus y1. That we need to find out. How do you find out? Take the slope of the function. So slope equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. What is the slope? You take the derivative of the function. Therefore d by dx of g of x equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1 is a delta. Therefore, this implies y2 minus y1 equal to delta times d by dx of the slope g of x. Okay, so sorry, d by dx of the function g of x. So this is the slope and this is the interval length of x. Okay, therefore the length of the red interval has something to do with the slope of your function. Therefore this is the length of red interval. Okay, therefore the length of the red interval has something to do with the slope of the function g. So therefore here the slope is dy by dx, where y is g of x. That is why we have written dy by dx times g of x. The slope tells you how big is your y function, is your y interval. If the slope is more, let me write down like this, y2 minus y1 equal to delta times slope. Now if slope is more, then this interval length also more. Okay, so the slope tells you how big is the y interval. When you take an interval of x of a certain length delta, this is the fixed length, okay, certain length delta. So the slope is multiplied by the interval length. So this is delta. So to give you the length of the red interval. Therefore the length of the red interval is delta times the slope of your function. Therefore the probability of the red interval is going to be the density of y times the length of the interval that we are considering. Okay, so probability density function of y is given by, the probability of this interval, red interval, probability of red interval equal to probability density of the random variable y, fy of y, times the interval, the length of the red interval that we are considering. That is going to be y2 minus y1, which is fy of y times delta times d by dx of g of x. This is the slope. Okay, so these two probabilities are equal. Probability of red interval equal to probability of the blue interval. Okay, so let us now equate these two sides. What is the probability of red interval? That is delta times d by dx of g of x times the density function of the random variable y equal to delta times fx of x. Let me call equation number 1. So equation 1 gives us a relation between the density of x and density of x evaluated at this point. Which point? This point. Okay, and the density of y evaluated at this point. So the density is evaluated at this point, in this point and in this point. So the two densities are closely related. If these x's are very likely, let me change the color. If this, I have shown the yellow color. Okay, if these x's are very likely to occur, then this is big. Which is big? Your fx of x is going to be big. This is big, which means that density will also be big. This density fy of y also big. So whenever the x's are very likely to occur, x values are very likely to occur, then the density function is big. And if the density function is big, if this density function is big, and then this function also expected to be big. Okay, if these x's are very likely to occur, then those y's are also very likely to occur. But there is also another factor that comes in. What is that factor? This factor, slope. Okay, and that's the slope of the function at this particular point. So the slope is evaluated at this particular point, x2 x plus delta. So we have this relation between the two densities. This equation number one is a relation between the two densities. Now interpreting equation 1, you need to make sure that what is the relation between the two variables. Okay, the relation between x and y. Okay, I have both little x's and little y's. So the formula 1 is true for an x comma y pair that are related according to the formula y is equal to g of x. Okay, this particular function, g of x function. So if I fix an x, this x, and consider the corresponding y, this is the corresponding y. If you first fix the x and consider the corresponding y, then the densities at those x's, okay, and the corresponding y's will be related by the formula 1, equation number 1. Okay, so that formula is delta times fx of x equal to delta times the slope times fy of y. Now in the end you want to come up with a formula that just gives you the density of y as a function of y. So in the end, find density of the random variable y, okay, as a function of small y. So that is our aim. So that means that you need to eliminate the x's. So this x you have to eliminate, okay, and in the slope also have some x, that also have to eliminate. And let's see how that would go in an example. Suppose that we are dealing with the function, let's say y is equal to capital X cubed, in which case our function g of x equal to x cubed. Okay, so let me call this is let's say equation number 2, and no, this is, let me call 2 and let it as it is. If x cubed is equal to a little y, this is y, right? If you have a pair of x's and y's that are related this way, you have a pair of x and y's that are related by this way. This also let me call equation number 2. Okay, then this means that x is going to be the cubic root of y. Then x equal to cubic root of y from equation number 2. So let me call this as equation number 3. Okay, so this is a formula that takes you, this is a formula, equation number 3 is a formula that takes us back from y's to x's. And equation 2 is a direct formula. And this is the inverse formula. So this is essentially, equation number 3 is essentially the inverse function that tells us from a given y what is the corresponding x. Y is given, what is the corresponding x. Now if I rewrite the formula, equation number 1, this one, okay, it tells us that the density at a particular x is going to be the density at the corresponding y times the slope of the function at that particular x that we are considering. Therefore delta times fx of x equal to delta times d by dx of g of x times fy of y, right? Now change the color. This density, sorry, this delta and that delta will get cancelled, and uh, this now what is the slope of this function? So I'm sorry, wait a minute. What is the slope of the function? This is going to be d by dx of g of x equal to x cubed, which is equal to 3 times x squared. Now we want to end up with the formula for the density of y, fy of y. So I'm going to take this factor 3x square and send it to the other side. So fx of x equal to 3x square times fy of y, send it to the other side. Okay, therefore fy of y equal to 1 over 3 times x squared times fx of x. But since I want it to be a function of y, see here also x is there and here also x is there, but I want function of small y. Therefore I need to eliminate the x's. So and I am going to eliminate the x's using the correspondence here. What is the correspondence here? That inverse formula is going to be x equal to cubic root of y cubic root. Okay, so you replace this y on this one. So fy of y, okay, is 1 over 3 y to the power 2/3, okay, and fx of y to the 1/3. So this is the formula. So we end up finally with the formula for the density of the random variable y. Okay, and see here there is no x here, it is is a y here, and this also y. But don't confuse with this x. This is a random variable x. So the density function of the random variable is written in terms of using the parameter y. Okay, so this indicates a random variable. So that is the given probability density function, random variable y, and this one is the PDF of x, the random variable x. Okay, and this is the same answer that you would get if you go through the exercise. Like first you find the cumulative and then take a derivative. Okay, so you end up getting the same answer, but here we sort of get it directly. So it's a sort of different method, and directly you can get the answer instead of going through the two-step procedure, that is cookbook procedure. So like this you can do the problem by directly. The only condition is the function should be monotonic. That means what? There is a one-to-one relationship between the two random variables. If the condition is satisfied, then you can go through this formula. So therefore the final formula is fy of y is equal to slope of times fx of x. Am I correct? No, this is wrong. Fx actually, this is fx of x equal to slope times fy of y. Therefore fy of y equal to 1 by slope times fx of x. Now if it is monotonically increasing function, then the slope is positive. Slope is positive. Now suppose if you take monotonically decreasing function like this, now here the slope is negative. So in that case this formula is not valid, because if you put slope equal to negative, then the density function is going to be negative, but we know that the density cannot be negative. So in that case what we need to do is I should take the modulus formula. Therefore hence fy of y is equal to fx of x times 1 by slope, you take the modulus, that is 1 by the mod of d times dx of g of x times fx of x. This is your fy of y. Okay, so therefore this formula works nicely for the case where the function is 1 to 1. So we can have a unique association between the x's and y's and through the inverse function, okay, from y's to x's. And this formula works nicely for monotonically increasing case, and it also works for the monotonically decreasing case. But in the monotonically decreasing case, the only change that you need to do is take the absolute value of the slope. So this is the absolute value of the slope. So whenever you have monotonically decreasing function, then you take the absolute value of the slope instead of the slope itself. Okay, don't take the slope itself. If you take slope itself, then what happens? You will get 1 by a negative term times it's a positive term. So it is going to be negative term. So therefore your density function is going to be negative. But if we said the density is always non-negative for all y. Okay, so it is kind of contradiction. So therefore what you do is take the absolute value of the slope for monotonically decreasing function. Okay, so at this point let me stop. In the next lecture I will teach the distribution of the random variable x plus y. Suppose you have two random variables x and y. What is the distribution of x plus y, where x and y are considered as independent random variables. Okay, so this is quite interesting, and it is a special case. Okay, and it involves a function of two random variable x and y, and this is a case where we have two random variables x and y, and those two random variables are independent, and now we want to find the distribution of the sum of the two. So x is given, y is given. What is the distribution of x plus y? This is very famous and very important topic that we are interested in. Even sometimes we will be interested in x minus y also. The distribution of the random variable x minus y, because x plus y gives again another random variable z. X minus y will give again another random variable w. So what is the distribution of the random variable f z of c or f w of small w? Okay, that we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you.